Hi, this is Don Schaefer, and I'm sitting at our campsite here up in Monaco, Wisconsin. We're having just the time of our life. Shirley and I are planning on camping for a full week over the 4th of July. But I just want to say, last week we talked a little bit about a decade later. We talked about all the areas of life that we can develop inside of us and the type of life that we can structure maybe so that in 10 years we can live life in a certain way. And I know we talked about being responsible, getting ourselves an attitude where we are responsible for our lives, responsible for our past, and not allowing and blaming things onto other people such as our parents, but taking responsibility and saying, hey, you know what, if I'm going to be something, I am going to develop that. And looking at life in a different way where we have a determined heart, you know, where we know what our purpose is. Say 10 years from now, I know where my purpose is, I know what I'm after, I know what I'm doing. You know, I have a decided heart and I'm going after things. And I live an active life. You know, if it comes to doing something or not doing it, I do it. You know, I don't sit there and wait for God to move in my life because I realize that God is waiting for me. So I'm trying to become active in the things that I do. And I wake up with an attitude in the morning of happiness. I try to allow happiness to be a part of my life and joy to be within my bones. Because 10 years from now, a decade from now, I want to be healthy in all ways. I want to be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, in all areas. Well, this week I want to talk a little bit about moving the mountains in your life. And I know we've touched on areas of this nature before, but it's so important because I know in the biblically they say that you know, if you can speak to your mountain, it can be removed, and that all things are possible to those who believe. And that's where it is so very important in our life that we realize that we can't allow doubt to be in our life. We can't allow the areas that will destroy us and keep us from the process of life that we'd want to walk to be there. We have to be able to allow ourselves to believe in the areas that we're going after. You know, and you say to yourself, well, how do I know if I believe? You know if you believe by your actions and the things that you do and how you see things. You know, people who doubt all the time, they just don't act. They don't respond. They don't do things. But people who have a solid belief, there's nothing that stops them. And that's where, if we get ourselves in situations in life where mountains of issues and problems come along, it's our belief that moves those mountains. It's the belief that gets us into the position where I get myself saying, you know, I can do this. You know, I believe I can do this. And the interesting thing that happens with that is there's a power that insurges within you, because as soon as you get the belief process working that you can do things, all of a sudden the how to do it starts to enter into your life. And all of a sudden things start to line up and things start to happen. And that's where you can see those who have a belief process in the way they walk, the way they talk, and the way they act. You know, they show that they are believers in themselves and the process they're in. And that's where I encourage you to examine your life and possibly get yourself in a position where you can eliminate doubt, because doubt is a killer and it will destroy your success all the time. And I thank you once again for joining with me up here in our campsite, and I will look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much.